Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Steve and I'm an experienced home infusion nurse as well as a nurse entrepreneur. Today, I'm going to show you how to build a successful side hustle in a home infusion nursing industry. This will let you earn extra income on your own schedule while leveraging your existing skills. By the end of this video, you'll understand the key steps, requirements, and strategies to get started. Home infusion services continue to grow as specialty pharmacies and patients favor at-home IV therapy. Think IVIG, biologics, and any kind of IV medication needing to be administered within the home. Agencies often rely on 1099 nurses to cover peak demand or specialized cases in oncology, immunology, rheumatology, or GI. Typical pay rates range from $50 to $75 per hour, depending on your region and your clinical experience. Even adding just 8 to 12 hours per week can net you close to $2 to $4 grand per month. Now, what licenses and skills will you need? You need to maintain an unencumbered RN license in the state that you intend to practice in. For me, this is California. You will need at least 1 to 2 years of acute care or infusion nursing experience. It's highly recommended that you have this experience. Most importantly though, as far as experience, is your ability to start an IV and the confidence to do so in any location. I'm looking at you EMS and ER peeps. You also need the clinical assessment skills to truly know sick from not sick. And this is something that comes from experience and really can't be taught. You'll learn about infusion pump operation, catheter types such as PIV, PICC, port, and complication management such as infiltration, phlebitis, anaphylaxis, and common drug side effect management. This education is usually completed by the agency that you're onboarding or contracting with. Now, a side note here, if your company is not teaching you what you need to know or helping you be comfortable within your position, even after asking for additional resources or education, leave that company immediately. Your license isn't worth it. There should always be a joint visit involved before you're on your own. This lets you experience a visit with the help of an experienced home infusion nurse. They can show you kind of how the flow goes and how a typical visit will be while they're there to help and answer your questions. As far as certs go, there's not a ton of certs. You must maintain a current BLS cert through the American Heart Association. A lot of agencies like to see ACLS or PALS, but it's typically not required in most cases. Consider additional certifications such as the IGCN through the IGNS or the CRNI through the INS. Links to these professional organizations are in the description. These certs give you a credibility and also allows you to typically negotiate for more money within your contract. It is a really good resource for nurses that are just looking to have that feather in their cap and really give off that professional vibe, especially within home infusion. Once you have your BLS and all of your credentials, you'll need to set up your side hustle as a true independent contractor. You'll receive a 1099 and are responsible for self-employment taxes, estimated quarterly payments, as well as bookkeeping. When you are paid, you will not have any taxes taken out of your pay, but you will still need to pay them at the end of the year. Many nurses form a single member LLC or elect S-Corp status to limit liability and optimize taxes. Always talk to a tax professional, but if you're doing this as a side hustle, I would stick with a single member LLC for the ease of setting everything up. It helps to think of working on a 1099 as starting a business. You are a business of one. Now, if you open an LLC or an S-Corp or form a business, it is really important that you open a checking account in that business's name. You really want to make sure that you're depositing money that you get from your contracted 1099 work into that checking account. By having a separate checking account and making sure that you only deposit or take out money for expenses, business expenses and business income, this will prevent commingling of income, which could limit your liability with an LLC or a business. It will also be much easier to track expenses come tax time. Now, remember, when you are working on a 1099, you are a business of one, which means that you are a business owner, which means this allows you to take advantage of a lot of tax incentives not available to W-2 workers. This is why it's important for you to really track those expenses and making sure you're tracking your income. Now that you have your business set up, you need to purchase a nurse-specific professional liability policy. Typically, these can range anywhere from $150 up to $300 per year. Now, a company that I use personally and that I recommend for most nurses is a company called NSO. And I have to recommend them highly because they offer the best coverage at the best price. They also offer general liability insurance if you're starting that LLC or S Corp. Consider adding general liability coverage. Professional liability protects your license, and general liability really kind of protects everything else. This represents an additional cost, but it is well worth the peace of mind that you get from a general liability coverage policy. When you contract with an agency or pharmacy, they will have you sign a contract and then also issue you a W-9. This allows them to issue you a 1099 at the end of the year so that you can file your taxes. In regards to your contract, make sure you read your contract fully and understand everything in it before you sign anything. This is extremely important and by reading your contract and understanding it, will prevent you from having undue surprises in the future or agreeing to things that you normally wouldn't agree to. So make sure you understand your contract. If you don't get anything else out of this video, read your contract and understand it. Now, related to requirements within your contract, most agencies will require your RN license, BLS or ACLS, PALS certificates, specialty certificates, immunization records. These are going to be what you typically will need for the hospital, a TB test, and you will also have to perform a background check. One of the other things that you will need is a valid driver's license, and you will also need to provide proof of insurance on the vehicle that you will be driving when you're going to and from patients' homes. It's always a good idea to have all these documents in one place. It really makes the onboarding process much easier for yourself, especially when you're going through this process. If you have everything in one document, you can go ahead and just upload it to their system or send it to them, sign your contract, and then start seeing patients. Now, next, let's talk about W-2 work. Say being a 1099 contractor is definitely not in your wheelhouse and not something that you want to do. Let's talk about how you can side hustle and work in home infusion as a W-2 worker. If you're looking for W-2 PRN position, or you want to work even part-time or full-time, I highly recommend a company called Naven Health. They are a really good organization to work for from a nursing standpoint. If you're looking for W-2 work, I highly recommend them. Pretty much everything that we're going to talk about in this video can also pertain to W-2 employment as far as what you're going to be doing and how you can side hustle and make that extra income. You just won't be able to take advantage of a lot of the business side of things and taking advantage of the tax advantages of working on a 1099. I do highly recommend though, if you're not feeling the 1099 thing, definitely look for W-2 employment with a home infusion agency or one of the bigger companies to work as a W-2 nurse within home infusion. It is still well worth it and a very easy side hustle, as most of these places will hire you on as a PRN or even part-time person. You have decided to be a 1099 contracted nurse and work on this side hustle as a 1099. How do you find work? How do you find contracts? How do you find people that are willing to bring you on and pay you to be a home infusion nurse? Well, that is a really good question. One of the best places to look truly is Indeed. I would go on Indeed and just search for home infusion nurse. There's so many agencies out there and so many companies out there that are just looking for contracted RNs to do home infusion. So I do recommend you start there. You can also contact these specialty pharmacies directly, especially the larger specialty pharmacies. They have in-house nursing programs and oftentimes will contract nurses directly with the pharmacy to provide nursing services for their patients. Now, most of the 1099 work out there that you're gonna find for home infusion are gonna be nurse staffing agencies. I have to shout out my company here, Finnick Health. I would say that we do it the best, but of course I have a little bias there. But there are a number of companies within, especially here in Southern California, that do a really good job. Infusion and Care, Infusion 360, Float Health. These are just a couple that are located here in Southern California that do a really good job and that you can work with as a contracted 1099 nurse. Now, what is a nurse staffing agency? Now, a nurse staffing agency essentially is a middleman that connects a registered nurse to the specialty pharmacy and then allows that nurse to be able to see the specialty pharmacy's patients and infuse that medication in the patient's home. Nurse staffing agencies are going to be primarily what you run into when you are looking for contracted 1099 nursing opportunities. Here in California, it's a little bit less as far as contracted nursing goes. California is pretty strict as far as how nurses can be contracted. So you'll find that a lot of agencies will directly hire you as a W-2 RN. I will say though, there are still a ton of opportunities here in Southern California for contracted 1099 nursing, but I will say that there's also a lot of opportunities for W-2 nursing as well. A lot of other states though, as far as contracted 1099 nursing goes, there's a lot more opportunities. And in fact, RNs are offered the opportunity to work on a 1099 a lot more frequently in other states other than California. All right, so now you found an agency or a company that you want to work with, and you're going to go ahead and contract with them. And you also receive an offer from that agency or company that you're going to work for. It's very important to clarify the hourly rate plus the mileage or any travel stipend that you may receive from them. You also want to make sure that it is very clearly documented within your contract as far as what you will be paid for and at what rate. Now, before you sign your contract and while you're going through your interview process, it's very important to confirm the shift length. Most infusions last anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, but know what a typical infusion looks like or infusion length looks like for the medications that you will be administering for that company. You also want to discuss on-call expectations. Some contracts require you to be reachable for urgent admissions. Think like antibiotics or cardiac medications. These are acute patients, and oftentimes they will call you, you will be on call and they'll need to call you out last minute to go see these patients. Again, before you sign your contract, make sure you negotiate with your experience. Emphasize your infusion certifications or any advanced skills, such as professional certifications, being familiar with the medications that you're administering, or just being familiar with home infusion in general. You really want to leverage that experience so that you can get the most pay from the agency that you're going to be contracting with. Hot tip here, when you're negotiating with these people, make sure you always ask for more money. No matter what they offer you, always ask for more. Typically, agencies have a pay range that they can pay you, or a starting pay that they can pay you at, and you can always ask for more. Worst case scenario is they won't be able to pay you more. But always remember, a closed mouth won't get fed. So make sure you ask for more money. Now, once you have your contract signed and you're out there seeing patients, building your reputation is everything. Home infusion is a very small community, and it seems like everybody knows somebody that knows somebody or has worked with somebody. So it's very important that you build a very positive reputation within the home infusion industry. So how do you build that positive reputation? Well, you want to make sure that you have efficient visits and you have positive patient interactions. And this is what will build your reputation within the industry. If your patients have nothing but nice things to say about you, the agency is going to be happy, the pharmacies are going to be happy, everybody's going to be happy, and they're going to want to continue to use you for your nursing services. Now, when you're seeing home infusion patients, you really want to plan your visit day and always arrive on time or early. Make sure you plan for potential traffic issues and drive time. If you're going to be late, make sure you always call the patient and let them know what's going on. Communication is truly the simplest way to keep patients happy. If you're letting them know what's going on, chances are they're going to work with you. Before your visit, always review the physician's orders, confirm pump settings, and ensure that the pharmacy delivered everything before heading out to see your patient. Typically, you want to call your patient about 48 to 24 hours prior to your visit and just make sure everything is there and that the patient is ready for you. Remember, perception is everything within the home infusion industry. You want the patient to see the professional and wonderful nurse that you are. Now, we all know that we render really good patient care and we go out of our way to do the best that we possibly can, but you really want to make sure that the patient perceives that wonderful care that you give them. And that's the difference between a regular home infusion nurse and a really, really popular infusion nurse that gets a ton of business. Another tip here for actual patient care is, especially on your first visit, you really want to assess that patient and make sure that you're doing a lot of education with them and making sure that the patient is fully understanding what it is that you're going to be administering to them and then what that typical infusion will look like. You also want to discuss any type of potential side effects from life-threatening to just mild, almost common side effects. You want to make sure that your patient is aware of those and fully understands what it is that you're going to be doing to them. Again, these are the type of steps that differentiates a okay infusion nurse from an amazing infusion nurse. It's important to build a rapport with your patient. Patients who trust you are more likely to comply with their treatment and also recommend you to others. Word of mouth truly is one of the best ways to progress within home infusion. If you're doing really good patient care and your patients really like you, the word's gonna spread and your care will speak for itself. So word of mouth is really important. So that's why perception is so important within the home infusion industry. Now, from a pharmacy standpoint, it's really important that you are proficient within the EMR, or in some cases, a lot of agencies still use paper charting, unfortunately, in this industry. But you wanna be proficient with whatever that charting is and make sure that you're completing those charts within typically 24 hours after your visit. Most agencies or pharmacies will be reviewing that charting and submitting that charting within typically 24 to 48 hours after your visit is complete. Make sure you chart your assessments, vitals, and infusion parameters in real time. Agencies are, again, typically wanting to submit these charts within 24 hours after your visit. By being efficient with your charting and really doing what the pharmacies and agencies are needing you to do as far as your charting and kind of the back end work, as far as keeping track and scheduling and everything like that, if you do a really good job with that, that is also gonna basically provide a positive perception for you as far as related to the pharmacies and the agencies that you're working with. And that's gonna also spread as far as word of mouth that you're a really good, reliable nurse, that you not only take good care of your patients, but you're also on top of making sure that everything is completed as requested as far as your charting and following the guidelines and protocols that the agencies or pharmacies lay out to you. Now, let's talk about the really, really important stuff, the earnings or the potential earnings that you can get from this. Now, I'm gonna be speaking from my perspective, which is here in California. And in California, you can typically expect $60 an hour. And if you're making $60 an hour and work just 10 hours per week, that yields $600 weekly or $2,400 a month before expenses or taxes. That represents a significant additional income to you as a nurse. Now, if you're an experienced nurse and you've been doing, whether it be in the hospital or home infusion, I would not, especially in California, I would not take any less than $60 an hour. Other states' pay may vary, but in California, again, you can always expect anywhere from $60 to $70 an hour as a contracted infusion nurse. W-2 wages can be slightly less, but I would also, especially here in California, not take any less than $60 an hour if you have, especially if you have experience or you have some of those professional certifications that we had talked about. Now, when you're taking on patients, it's very important that you plan your schedule and block out time for your regular patients. Typical patients infuse every 3 to 4 weeks. Most infusion companies follow the primary RN nurse model. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you take a patient, they will stay on your schedule going forward. So every 3 to 4 weeks when they're due to have their infusion, you will be the nurse that will be doing that infusion. It is very important that you plan for reoccurring patients. Now, life happens and we need to take vacations or we get sick or our kids get sick. That's okay, and most agencies plan for this and will have coverage for you. But by and large, you will always want to plan to have that patient on your schedule every 3 to 4 weeks or when that patient is due. Before you accept a new patient, ensure you are comfortable with the travel time and distance. And always make sure that you are capable of maintaining them on your schedule every 3 to 4 weeks. If you're not comfortable driving that distance every 3 to 4 weeks when they're due, then make sure you do not take that patient. Or if it's a one-time coverage, that's fine too, but make sure that is very clear to the agency or pharmacy that you're working with. Now, when you are being paid on a 1099, remember, you are a business of one. It will be important for you to track your mileage and your business expenses. You want to make sure that you're tracking mileage, uniform costs, continuing education, and any liability insurance premiums or deductible expenses. These are all tax write-offs, and you want to make sure that you're tracking them so that at the end of the year, you can write off those expenses and not have to pay tax on that money. When you're doing a lot of contracting and receiving a lot of income from working as a 1099, you can utilize a program such as QuickBooks. This will help you to track your business expenses and income and allow it to be much easier for you at the end of the year. If you're just doing this as a side hustle though, and you don't want to pay the high price of QuickBooks, you can always just track your business expenses and income in a spreadsheet. Now, no side hustle is without its hurdles. The price of gas, especially here in California, can really eat into your profit margins. You really want to try to mitigate this by making sure that you're clustering your patients and that you're limiting the amount of drive time or drive miles that you have to take advantage of. You also really want to pay very close attention to how many miles you are actually driving because again, you can write that mileage off. Right now, you can write off up to 70 cents per mile that you drive related to being a contracted 1099 nurse. To track your mileage, I would highly suggest utilizing an app. One of the apps that I use that works really well is called Mileage IQ. I'll have it listed in the description below so that you can take a look at that. Again, I have no affiliation with Mileage IQ, but again, it's an app that I use and I think it's a really good app, and it creates a report at the end of the year of all of your mileage and allows you to supply that to your accountant or whoever it is that is filing your taxes so that they have an actual report of how many miles you've driven. It also allows you to separate between personal and business drives so that again, at the end of the year, you can make sure you're taking advantage of all those miles that you are doing while working as a 1099 nurse. Another drawback to home infusion is a lot of these visits can require last minute changes within the schedule. This can be due to illness of the patient, related to their insurance, or sometimes patients just do weird things and forget that they had a doctor's appointment or something like that. So a lot of times these appointments will change last minute. That can be super annoying and can be kind of difficult to accommodate within your schedule, especially if you're working full-time somewhere else. But it is something that is a part of home infusion and really does happen often. So it's important that you understand that these last minute changes are possible and that they may and most likely will happen, especially as you progress within the home infusion profession. So is working on a 1099 side hustle as a home infusion nurse for everybody? No, I wouldn't say it is for everybody, but I would say it is for a lot of people. Building a home infusion and 1099 contract nursing side hustle takes clinical expertise, solid business groundwork, and smart marketing. But when you focus on these tenets, business setup, contract negotiation, operational best practices, and growth strategies, you could be on your way to earning an extra $2 to $4K a month, all while providing high quality patient care in the comfort of the patient's home in a very laid back and usually very chill environment with one patient to take care of. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more nursing business content, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. After watching this video, do you still have questions about starting your own home infusion side gig? Well, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, and if I don't have the answers, I'll point you in a direction where you can find them. And as always, guys, thank you.